So if you feel, just perpetually exhausted, like you're on some kind of never-ending treadmill, always chasing the next achievement, the next thing you need to buy, the next big milestone.
Yeah, that feeling's familiar to many.
You are absolutely not alone. We know this relentless drive, it's often praised, right, as ambition.
Sure, it gets framed that way.
But the sources we've gathered, they suggest it's actually, well, it's more like a recipe for burnout.
Yeah.
And, chronic dissatisfaction.
That tracks.
Our society, it sort of teaches us that more is always better, demands this constant hustle.
It really does.
But what if that whole demand? What if it's actually a distraction? So our mission today is to explore a radically different idea. The profound liberation you can find just by embracing the concept of enough.
It's a fascinating shift in perspective.
Yeah, we're looking at how intentionally defining that and sort of reframing your understanding of success can maybe stop that treadmill and maybe unlock a level of fulfillment you previously thought impossible.
That framing is truly disruptive, isn't it? We've synthesized material here that dives deep into sufficiency, and it specifically challenges those traditional metrics of success.
The ones based purely on like how much money you make or how high you climb the ladder.
Exactly those. And the core insight the sources keep coming back to is that genuine fulfillment. It's achieved not through just endless acquisition, getting more and more,
Right.
but by first recognizing and then really respecting your personal threshold of true sufficiency.
Okay, let's start with the problem itself, because it seems like it's really, really deeply ingrained in us.
It is.
The sources detail these hidden, almost astronomical costs of the whole more is better mantra. They call it external conditioning or societal programming. Can you elaborate a bit? Like, what is that mechanism and why does it leave us feeling so empty even when we, hit our targets?
Right. So the sources define that societal programming specifically as the systematic reinforcement of status anxiety.
Status anxiety. Okay.
Yeah, it's the constant linking of your self-worth directly to, well, your purchasing power and the lifestyle markers people can see.
Yeah.
And the treadmill never ends because every time you achieve a new goal, maybe a higher salary, a bigger car, something psychologists call hedonic adaptation kicks in.
Ah, right. The psychological treadmill.
Yeah.
We adapt. We get used to the new thing really fast.
Instantly.
And then immediately start looking for the next thing to feel satisfied again.
Precisely. And the sources, they actually quantify this relentless pursuit. They connect it directly to sharp spikes in anxiety, persistent stress, and just this pervasive dissatisfaction.
Wow.
And it's not just wasted energy, it's actual emotional depletion.
All right.
And it's fueled almost entirely by external comparison.
That makes sense. If you're constantly looking sideways at what someone else has.
Yeah, you can never really appreciate what's right there in front of you.
So the sources paint this picture of a cycle that's almost psychologically designed to keep us running. But, like, why? Why are we being manipulated into this belief that we lack something essential? Here's where the material got really interesting for me.
It's really a foundational pillar of the consumer economy, isn't it? The sources argue pretty strongly that advertising, and especially social media now, they actively manipulate our perception of needs.
How so?
By constructing what they call an aspirational gap. They basically sell us the solution to a problem we didn't even know we had.
Right.
Creating this illusion of scarcity where, for most people, certainly in terms of basic needs, abundance actually already exists.
So we're constantly being shown a lifestyle that's maybe technically out of reach, but it feels just close enough.
Exactly.
That we keep striving and buying and, frankly, working more to try and get it. Wow, that sounds exhausting just thinking about it.
It is exhausting. And this is precisely why the power of perspective becomes like your greatest tool here. The sources really emphasize that liberation starts with a conscious, very deliberate shift, moving away from that feeling of lack, towards an appreciation for abundance, based purely on what you already possess, but, to move beyond just theory.
Yeah.
The critical task for you, the listener, is defining your personal enough.
Okay, wait. The sources talk about defining enough, but, in a world with continuous inflation, economic pressures, isn't enough just a moving target. Doesn't it risk sounding like, I don't know, stagnation? Or maybe intentional underachievement. That's a common fear.
Yeah, that's a very fair challenge. And yeah, the sources definitely anticipate it. They make it really clear that enough is absolutely not a fixed, miserable limit.
Okay.
Nor is it stagnation. It's about identifying a personal threshold for genuine qualitative satisfaction.
Qualitative.
It's not necessarily about, say, financial minimalism, it's really about clarity. It means distinguishing between the things that truly enrich your life, maybe health, time, relationships.
The important stuff.
Exactly. And the things that merely accumulate status or stuff. So it's actually a dynamic threshold, one that's tied to your values, not just some static number tied to material quantity.
I appreciate that distinction. Qualitative satisfaction versus just quantitative accumulation. So if we're truly moving beyond the boardroom, beyond those typical financial metrics, how should we measure a successful life, according to this material?
Well, the sources outline a very different set of metrics, as you'd expect. They argue that when you prioritize sufficiency, the real indicators of success start to emerge naturally.
Like what?
Things like time, peace, and strong relationships. These are resources that, unlike money in some ways, they actually compound exponentially when you invest in them wisely and deliberately.
Time, peace, relationships.
Okay. And this leads us right into this huge benefit they call the freedom of focus.
Freedom of focus.
Yeah, think about it. When you stop chasing the next upgrade just because the external world, tells you to, the sheer mental and physical energy that was tied up in that chase, it's immediately unlocked. Freedom.
That concept of unlocking energy is really compelling.
Wow.
Did the sources give any, data on the gains from setting these kinds of mental boundaries?
They did, actually, and it's quite specific. They reference some studies suggesting that just reducing the mental burden of constant consumer choice, the endless comparing and shopping,
Oh, yeah.
it can lead to a quantifiable reduction, sometimes up to maybe 20% in what they term decision fatigue.
20%. That's significant.
It really is. And that saved mental energy can then be fully reinvested into those alternative metrics we just mentioned, like being fully present with your loved ones or maybe pursuing personal passions.
Wow. So it turns out the biggest drain on our energy isn't just our jobs,
Right.
but the constant pursuit of things outside of work.
Exactly. And the material, it grounds this whole idea in reality by referencing these case studies in contentment.
Real people.
Real people. One specific example really stood out. It was a software engineer. He voluntarily moved from a really high-pressure, six-figure job, working like 70 hours a week,
Been there.
to a lower-paying role, but one that was more project-focused. He actually calculated his personal enough threshold.
Okay.
And he realized that extra $50,000 a year was literally costing him his entire weekend, his peace of mind.
Wow, what a trade-off when you frame it like that.
Right. So by prioritizing his time and his peace over just that last increment of salary, he found he was, objectively happier, more creative, and his relationships drastically improved. It just proves that maximizing life quality doesn't always require maximizing material quantity.
That's such a concrete trade-off. I think many of our listeners could probably identify with that struggle. Okay, so this concept of sufficiency, it's powerful, but shedding a lifetime of this external conditioning, that takes action, right?
Absolutely.
So if the listener is ready, if they want to create their own enough moment,
Yeah.
what are the actionable steps the sources provide? Things you can start doing, immediately.
Okay, so the sources lay out three pretty foundational shifts. The first one is the decluttering mindset.
Decluttering. Okay, like Marie Kondo.
Sort of, but it's often misunderstood. It's about applying those principles of minimalism not just to your physical possessions, clearing out the garage or the closet,
Right.
but crucially, also applying it to your commitments and your digital noise.
Ooh, okay. That's where the real-time sinks are hiding now, isn't it? Our inboxes, our calendars. They're like the new cluttered closets.
They are massive hidden drains on our energy and attention. The material really stresses the importance of auditing your calendar, your notifications.
Auditing, okay.
Yeah. Ask yourself, does this commitment, this weekly meeting I dread, this volunteer position I'm lukewarm about, this endless stream of digital alerts, does it actually align with my defined enough threshold? If it doesn't actively serve your core values, time, peace, relationships, the sources basically advise releasing it. Just let it go. Decluttering commitments frees up that really precious, non-renewable resource, your attention.
Okay, that makes sense. Step 2 you mentioned.
Step 2 is mindful consumption. Now, this seems to require a pretty fundamental behavioral change, especially, like you said, when we're constantly bombarded by retail messages.
Yeah, it sounds hard.
It does, but it's about inserting a deliberate pause, a pause between desire and purchase.
Yeah.
It means making intentional choices, choices that align with your deepest values, rather than just reacting to impulse or, external pressure from sales or influencers.
This is like stopping before you click buy.
Exactly. One technique referenced in the source material is adopting something like a 3-day rule for non-essential purchases.
A 3-day rule.
Yeah, if you still feel you really need the item after 3 days, then maybe reconsider. But that pause, that little bit of friction, it dismantles the emotional urgency that the external conditioning relies on so heavily.
Ah, that gives you time to ask that crucial question. Does this thing truly serve my defined enough threshold? Or is it just, filling that aspirational gap we talked about?
Exactly right. And the third step, which is maybe the most critical for that lasting internal fulfillment, is the gratitude habit.
Gratitude.
Yeah, actively cultivating appreciation for what you have right now. It's basically the ultimate counteragent to that scarcity mindset we're fighting against.
Okay, so if the scarcity mindset thrives on feeling like you lack something,
Mm-hmm.
gratitude floods your system with a sense of internal abundance. Is that the idea?
That's precisely the psychological mechanism at play. It fundamentally shifts how you perceive your entire life. The sources show that a daily practice of gratitude could be as simple as journaling, say, 3 specific things you appreciate each day.
Yeah.
It actually breaks the neural pathways that are associated with constantly needing more. It fosters genuine, lasting fulfillment by basically showing your brain that you are already sufficient, that you are, in fact, already thriving. So if we sort of synthesize everything we've discussed, embracing this idea of enough, it creates this immense ripple effect, doesn't it?
Seems like it.
It enhances your personal well-being, clearly, by reducing that decision fatigue and stress. It improves your relationships because you're actually present. You're not preoccupied with chasing the next thing.
Right, you have more energy for people.
Exactly. And yes, it even has a measurable positive impact on the planet because you naturally end up consuming less and making more sustainable choices as a side effect.
Yeah, that's a nice bonus.
It really is. And this raises, I think, an important question. How does adopting this mindset become like the blueprint for designing your future?
Okay.
It allows you to create a life based on purpose and true joy, built entirely on internal metrics, not external ones. Free from that endless, exhausting cycle of just chasing more. It's really about taking back control of your own definition of success.
So what does this all mean then? Wrapping it up.
Mm-hmm.
The power of enough. It's really about sustainable thriving, isn't it? It's not about deprivation.
Not at all. It's an active choice.
Yeah, it's the active, intentional choice to prioritize meaning over just accumulation. Our deep dive today reveals that the true win, it isn't measured by how much you take in necessarily, but maybe by how fully and intentionally you choose to live with the resources you already possess, your time, your peace, your energy.
Well said.
So we really encourage you, the listener, to think about creating your own path to sustainable thriving. Specifically, maybe consider, what does your enough moment look like right now? And perhaps, what's one commitment, physical, digital, whatever, that you could deliberately release, maybe we did today, to start that personal movement towards genuine liberation?